Kufar Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Cross and Crescent discussion group. This is a YouTube live stream show done weekly that I can't even get it out this today. I'm just, I remember how I felt after watching 9/11, and it's just you try to express the way you feel after watching all these thousands of people, those buildings come down on those people. And it wasn't at that time I was not as well, didn't have as much knowledge about Islam and what it taught, and its feelings towards people in the West. Of course, being a soldier, you have a hint of it, an inkling of it, but you just didn't know the true depth of that. And over the past 20 years, I've kind of gained that understanding of it. And then today or yesterday, waking up yesterday and reading and watching the news all day, it's just disgusts you. And from the perspective that when we here on this show, we talk about the theology of Islam, we talk about Muhammad, we talk about a lot of things about Islam, and I purposely try to avoid the violent part of it, and the reason for that is because most people will know it. Most people understand it, and they don't need to be told something over and over and over and over again. But when you see the absolute savagery that people who have it ingrained into this hatred, this visceral hatred that they have for Jews, ingrained to them and taught to them from the time that they're just little kids. And now you see that spilling out live on TV and all over the internet. And you watch as these videos are playing. And I was watching yesterday. They were showing a live feed from Jerusalem, and they're showing all these rocket attacks coming in. And Connie said there's been 7,500 rockets launched into Israel in the last 2 days. 7,500. It's overwhelming the Iron Dome and all that. But you watch it play out on TV, and it tears your guts out watching these things. And we've done so many shows on Hamas and talked about Hamas and what they've done. And we've had so many people try to chime in about, how great their cause is, trying to win back, the Palestine. Number one, there was no country called Palestine prior to Israel's founding in 1948. There might have been a region referred to that, but there was no country. There was no currency. There were no ruling authority. Nothing. There was, so when we start talking about, okay, these Palestinian people wanting their land back, well, what land are we talking about? And then when you look at what happened to the Jews all the way up to that point, trying to return to their land after being thrown out of it in 70 AD by Vespasian, and now they're finally returning under Zionism, and then you have the Holocaust, and they finally, they garner enough world sympathy to be able to return to their land. And then you have, of course, the War for Independence. They're attacked the day that they declared their independence. They're attacked by 7 Islamic countries. And then you have the 67 war, where they are able to defending themselves. They were attacked by Jordan, Syria, Egypt, Lebanon, Iraq. Help me out here. Anyway, they were attacked by several countries in 67. I can't remember off the top of my head. And they win that, and they take the entire Sinai Peninsula. They take all of the West Bank. They take all of the Golan Heights. And they keep the West Bank and the Golan Heights, return Sinai back to Egypt. And then in 73, again, the Yom Kippur War. This is the 50th anniversary. This is a celebration, or they're acting on the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, is why this day was picked. Where they were attacked on the most holy day. The most holy day, they're attacked by Egypt and was it Syria? I believe it was. Surprise attack. And then you have all these negotiations going up to this. You have, of course, the Camp David Accords with Sadat and Menachem Begin. And you see what happened to Sadat for negotiating with the Jews. And we had 3 no's coming out of Khartoum saying no peace, no recognition. No something else. I can't remember all these things.
Compromise.
And then you have the intifadas with that trained terrorist by al-Husseini, Grand Mufti of of Jerusalem, Yasser Arafat.
Multi-millionaire, by the way. Just to let you know.
Nobel Peace Prize winner. Of course, we're going to give a Nobel Prize to terrorist. And then you have all of these things that happened after Clinton, after 9/11. And today we're blessed to have Steve with us. And I want, Steve, we had talked before the show, and you said that you would just kind of give us a rundown of because this affects you, because this is your family. I mean, this is your roots. This is where, you said your dad's from this place. Give us a rundown of what your feelings are on this.
Yeah, my family's from the West Bank, but they are Palestinian, and so I lived in the Middle East. I lived there 3 years, 72 to 75 when I was a kid. I was there during the 1973 war. I remember seeing the jets flying overhead, and I was only 10 at the time. And then I also lived there I visited a couple times, but then I lived there from 1999 until 2007. And so I lived there, I lived 2 years in Jerusalem and then 6 years in the Gaza Strip. And I was working with ministries, a Christian ministry. I was a Christian missionary to, in there, and trying through ministries to preach the gospel, share the gospel I worked at the Bible Society in Gaza for 3 years. And when I left Gaza in 2007, I have a friend of mine who was running the Bible Society, and he was brutally murdered. His name is Rami Ayed, and we're getting close to the anniversary of his death. He was brutally murdered for not denying Christ. And the person who killed him was executed eventually, but he wasn't executed for killing my friend. He was executed for a political situation that he got into, but and that was like 10 years later. So anyway, but so I'm very close to everything that goes on there. I have a very close emotional connection, my family, my relatives, and my own past. Having lived there, having seen, I know so many people there, churches and believers, and so watching this is excruciating. It's so painful, and I recognize something that's strange. One of the things that's kind of strange is the impact of watching that fence be torn down, because I lived right by that fence, and I don't make light of the suffering of my people, the Palestinians. They are suffering. Gaza is a big prison. It is a big open air prison, and I and so and they voted. I was there from 2001.
That's right. So take your time, because this when you see people that let's just take a pause here and look at, okay, so you say that the Palestinian people are suffering, and they're suffering because you have 2 million people packed into this area where they're not allowed to leave. Why is it that they're not allowed to leave?
Well, you know what? If you go back, before 1987, and 1987 was when the first Intifada began, and that's when Hamas was founded. And so if you go back,
let me just say this about Hamas. Hamas's founding document declares that they are going to not just rule in Israel, they're going to destroy the country of Israel. Let's just make sure we understand who Hamas is.
Who is Hamas really? How do we really know who Hamas is?
Just read Wikipedia. No, I'm just kidding. The founder was there. His name is Ahmed Yassin, and I was there when he was killed, by the way. And I was woken up. I was sleeping, and before then, you know what? Israelis, so many Palestinians were working in Israel. It's a situation similar to like with that we have with Mexico right now, where so many people want to come here to America to work, and send money back home, and so that was kind of a situation between Gaza and Israel. There's so many Palestinians working in Israel, making money. The money in Israel was 10 times better than any money in Gaza. So everybody wanted to work in Israel. And there was a lot of families that's how they were supported. They built homes, they had a life, They were refugees. Many of them were driven from their homes in Jaffa and sort of Beersheba areas around the Gaza Strip. And so they became refugees and they moved to the Gaza Strip. But there was this free flow. I mean, I remember my dad went to Gaza, I believe, in 1972 or something, and there was no checkpoint, nothing. Just drove right over there, and then he came back, and and the Israelis loved going to Gaza because everything was so cheap. They would go and they'd buy everything. And they buy everything in the market. So the Gazans loved it because they were buying all their products, And then so there wasn't this tension, but then things began to turn. And
what happened in 2005, namely? Let's just jump to the chase here.
Yeah, well, it actually began before that, because with the first Intifada, the first uprising, and that's when they started fighting against Israel, and there was two Intifadas. The first one began like in 1987, lasted about 4 years or so, and then there was another one that began in 1999. Now,
Steve,
Yes.
Steve, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
So when you say people, the guys, I call them Gazinians. Sorry, because there's the Gazinians, and then there's the whatever Fatahland. That's what I call it now.
Fatah.
Sorry, but anyway, yeah. But anyway, when you say that the Palestinians from Gaza, they were working in Israel, was that before the first Intifada or after?
Yeah, it was before. They were just
Right.
there wasn't all these checkpoints and everything. People were living
See,
together.
I saw this documentary and I cannot find it. When we was talking about the exact same that you're talking about, the Palestinians, they were making money. It was it was good times. Okay, everybody was happy. I shouldn't, well, whatever. You know what I mean? But a lot better than they are now.
Yeah.
And then some big prisoner release of all the hardcore Islamicists, and they got out and they were like, this is what this guy explained it. A couple of them did on this documentary. He's like, they all got let out of prison around this time, 1987, and they were shocked to see nobody was suffering. Everybody was making money, life was good, and they were like, why are you doing this? And that's when they started to tear stuff up. They started to tear up, you know what I mean? All the infrastructure that was built, they actually started to attack, to provoke the Israelis to come, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's the that's kind of, there's several factors that led to it and to the forming of Hamas, and it was formed, like I said, in 1987. And it wasn't originally formed to fight Israel. It was originally formed to fight Fatah. Fatah is the Yasser Arafat's party. And they were saying,
Israel actually formed it. Israel actually helped form it. The Mossad did. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so it's kind of similar to the situation with bin Laden. One thing that you always hear the Muslims saying is, "Oh, you guys made bin Laden," and so then you guys want to, and so it's similar with Hamas. There was Israeli, they wanted to have this kind of counterbalance to Fatah, and so they were fighting Fatah mostly, and so anyway, they formed, and there's a guy named Ahmed Yassin. He was in a wheelchair-bound imam, very old man, and he's kind of the founder of Hamas. And there's also founders in the West Bank, and I know you guys have seen, or some of you may have seen, that there was a very famous book a few years ago, about 10 years ago, called Son of Hamas. The guy was his name was, what was his name?
His name was Mossad Hassan Youssef.
Yes, his father was one of the founders of Hamas in the West Bank, Mossad, yeah. And so they're very powerful. They were the more radical version of Fatah, and they were much more open to following Islam by the book, doing what Muhammad said, about the infidels and about the Jews, and and then that's when they started having to close off the Gaza Strip, and there's so many refugees, there's so many people there already. There was so much anger in there, and frustration, and there was, I have a friend of mine who his name is Ray, and there was a Baptist church. There still is today, that's who I worked with when I was there. And there's an Orthodox church and a Catholic church. There was about 3,000 Christians. Originally, Gaza was Christian, and but now it's not. Now there's 2 million people, only between 1,000 and 3,000 Christians. I keep getting different numbers, and a lot of people left Gaza because of the situation there, and because of when my friend was murdered there, Rami Ayed. He's that scared a lot of the Christians. And so anyway, all that to kind of, when I got involved in there, I was already a missionary in Jerusalem. And please feel free to stop me whenever if you have any questions. I got into trouble in the West Bank. I got into
trouble. Yeah, I know, that's the shocker. Is this the same time they shot up your van?
No. That's in Gaza. That was later.
Okay.
But This one they shot up my guitar. This one the Israeli shot my guitar.
Right.
So it was during the first Intifada. I mean the Second Intifada. Excuse me. The Second Intifada began in 2000 when Yasser Arafat, Bill Clinton, and Ehud Barak all did it's called the Camp David peace agreements. You know, they wanted to make Bill Clinton look good. And so they all went there. Everything was great. They almost reached agreement on everything. And then they touched Jerusalem. The minute they touched Jerusalem, everything fell apart.
Right.
And
that's where they said that Arafat was given 99% of what he wanted.
Yes,
and he would not give anything to Israel. And they asked for one thing and he said no and walked away.
Yeah, well, the issue came down to the Jerusalem, you know, and it just reminds me of Zechariah, where it says, "Whoever touches it will injure themselves." They touched Jerusalem, and the thing fell apart. And they even had an agreement at that point where Israel can have everything that's under the Temple Mount, and the Muslims can have everything that's on top of the Temple Mount. That's one of the agreements that they had come to, because
actually, that would be a good agreement for Israel, because everything under the Temple Mount is actually the temple. You know what I mean? Because it was all built up. You know what I'm saying? All, you know, with refuge and stuff. So they would get the original dig site. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so
well, don't make me say things that's going to get me in trouble. But Hamas just laid the cornerstone of the temple yesterday. But anyway, let's go on. And don't get me in trouble. But I wanted to say one other thing, okay, you guys. I just want to say one thing. This was a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to say that, you know, what we've seen in the last 2 weeks, for me, is like a mini 20th century. A mini 20th century. Because last week, we saw the Armenians, Christians, driven out of Nagorno-Karabakh. Mm-hmm. The Azerbaijani Muslims, with Turkish help, drove the Christians out. There is no more Christians in Azerbaijan.
They've been there since the 4th century. Let's make sure we understand how old their existence is there.
Okay, so we had our little mini Armenian genocide, and now we're having, and if you saw the pictures yesterday of the little old lady in a wheelchair being driven in a golf cart into Gaza, it reminded me of the Holocaust.
Yeah,
and it's like we're getting like we have an Armenian genocide, and then they go after the Jews. They went after the Christians, the Turks did, and now they're going after the Jews. You know, and it just I just want to say that it reminded me of a little mini 20th century, our two big genocides, the Armenian genocide and the Holocaust,
within a week.
Rinse,
one week.
Wash, and repeat. Yep, rinse, wash, and repeat.
Yeah, so don't get me in trouble. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, see, getting us, from a personal perspective is so much, more informative, and you can see the emotion that people have in this conflict, and you can see it on one side. You can see the hatred that the people in Gaza and the people in the West Bank have for Jews. Mm-hmm. And when we saw those videos of people going through the fence, and they're celebrating, and they're praying. But what I want to do is I want to show a couple things that are going to be kind of hard to look at.
Okay.
Because disclaimer, this is not for children. This is the time when you put your children away. Get them, you know what I'm saying? Okay. No, you got to give that, because otherwise.
Okay. Right. If the kids
watching, the usual. Kids shouldn't be watching this show anyway. This is for adults only. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'll turn that off there.
So these men, the Hamasholes, want to present themselves as some sort of God's warriors. Here's what they do to women. Here are God's warriors, these tough guys. They strip women. Now, this woman right here, and I'm not going to keep this up here long, but you can see she's been stripped, killed, and stripped. And they have a video of it. And they were attending a concert at one of the kibbutzes there down in southern Israel. And they're all a bunch of mini Isas, is the way I saw them coming off.
No. So I read up on this. I got to give you the background on this.
All right.
It was called the the Peace Concert, and it was a bunch of hippie people, and they're all wealthy. They're all from all over the world. Well, not
Right.
all of them are wealthy,
Well, this
but
girl,
that girl,
here was from Germany.
yeah, she was from Germany. She's a model. Okay. No, like a real model, like paid model. You know what I mean? Not like an Instagram model. Well, I guess they make money too. But anyway, but she's a paid model. But a lot of them, they are from very wealthy families throughout Europe. Okay, they all went to this peace conference. Get it? Peace conference. Well, they learned real quick. Anyway, that's the irony. But yeah, there was a hippie kind of thing. It was like a mini Burning Man kind of thing without the Burning Man, a Woodstock kind of thing, but without the Woodstock. But no, seriously, they went in and they murdered 200 of these people and kidnapped like 40 others, mostly the young women. Go figure that. Anyway, so I just wanted to
Then
give
we
you that.
had,
Yeah, go
then we
ahead.
have this. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. Hold on. This is why when we look at Hamas itself, every single one of these scumbags needs to be killed. That I'm going to show you right here. Okay, here you have their leadership after learning what's happened. Well, look what happened. We'll just watch.
Allahu Akbar. Kiss that carpet. Smell that carpet.
Okay, enough of that garbage. You know, you sit there and and this is what strikes me. When you go in and you engage in war, you don't celebrate the death of people. You just simply don't do that. You do not get on your face and thank God that you're able to kill these people. Watching these guys do, I was, watching these guys, I was just absolutely amazed that these guys, what's the first thing? We just went and killed a bunch of Israelis, kids, kidnapped a bunch of women and little kids. And now let's thank God that we can do, let's get on our faces and thank God for that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There was something that I had posted today because I follow certain people who are talking about this issue, like friends that I have. And so I said, hey, let's have peace. This is the time that we need peace for Israelis and Palestinians. I just said something simple like that. I said, this is an atrocity. Children have been killed. People have been kidnapped. This is horrendous. This is not something that is great. And then I saw people posting flags and saying, I'm a little emotional. It's very painful for me. And they said, oh, this is such a good thing. And I'm like, this is not the time to do this. It's not the time to gloat. Innocent people have been murdered. And they said, well, what about IDF murdering all these children? I'm like, guess what? First of all, that's a logical fallacy. It's called the Two Quoques. You're saying, okay, this thing happened to my people, so it's okay to do it to other people? No, it is not. Even if you're completely right, it is wrong to kill and hurt any innocent human beings. And I was so hurt. And I'm like, you do realize how, there's going to be a reprisal for this situation. And who's going to suffer? It's going to be innocent Palestinian people who have nothing to do with this. They're going to be stuck in the crossfire of this situation. And I'm deeply concerned about them. And I'm concerned about Israeli children. I'm concerned about all these lives. And then the response I got was, you are ignorant. You are stupid for wanting peace. And I was like, excuse me? They said it's occupied, stolen land. And I'm like, that's not the thing you should be saying. People have just been murdered. Children are being paraded in the street. Women are being paraded in the streets and tortured. And you're just saying a land? Where's your humanity? Like it was so horrifying to me. Where is your humanity? You're a human being, aren't you?
The difference between
Sorry.
this our side and that side. They've simply lost their humanity. When you celebrate, Rad, would you let me just what are you going to play here? Rad.
Oh, I was gonna play some video I found, but no, I didn't mean to share it. I forgot I have powers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, would you
Sorry, it was
please
very
give me that
painful
control
for
on
me.
the show here, please?
It's so painful. I'm so hurt by what happened. I don't know, and I can't believe anyone would do this to children and to do this to innocent people.
I can understand. Issa, I can understand. Actually, I can understand people in the Gaza Strip celebrating because this is a personal victory. Okay, I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. Here's what they're doing in the Gaza right now. This is from Gaza.
I don't know if you believe in God. Why would you think like that? I don't know. Sorry.
Where'd it go? Here we go. Everybody's got the phone out. Everybody's happy.
Those are dead bodies in the back of a truck. Those are dead Israelis.
You killed this woman here. But
oh,
it wasn't
there's a few.
This isn't confined to the Gaza. This is, let me see here. We have it. Let's see here. We have people in
New York City. Don't forget New York City. They had their pro-Palestinian march today.
Who did?
In New York City, it's the Democratic Socialists. In fact, it's on the cover of New York Post if you want to see it.
Even
Palestinian march. Okay.
That's AOC's organization.
Even the governor, the socialist communist governor of New York, said it was reprehensible.
Well, here's what they're doing in the UK. I'm sorry, Iran. They start with Iran. They shoot up fireworks in Iran.
Well, they paid for it. Well, Joe Biden paid for it, but
All right. And here's what they're doing. This is in England. And this is what they're doing in Toronto.
Wasn't Justin Trudeau at that celebration?
Say that again, Steve.
Wasn't Justin Trudeau at that celebration?
I don't know if he was or not.
I'll have to find that out. That'd be interesting.
Be honest, but this isn't just confined to Palestine. Is the point I'm trying to make. Here's another one. Hold on. Let's play this one. Here you have them doing the same thing in Istanbul.
Of course.
Where they are in Turkey.
But what are they celebrating? See, this is my point. There's no military victory. There's no land that has been achieved. Israel has not gone to the negotiating table. You know what I mean? I mean, be one thing. I can see, okay, let's say they defeated Israel. Okay, yes, you can celebrate that. I would be against it because, I don't want Israel to lose. But yeah, that would be something logical and rational that you'd celebrate. Or let's say they won a major battle, major victory. That would be something to celebrate, okay? All right? But again, what do they celebrate? They're celebrating. Let me share my screen now and play my video. This is what they're celebrating. I want y'all to understand this. This is simply what they're celebrating. Okay, hold on, I gotta play the
with the way propaganda works, first and foremost, everything that we see in the media is not necessarily what's transpiring in reality. We're not.
Look at that. They just murdered a bunch of people in their cars driving down the highway. That's what they're celebrating. And there's more. I'll share one more. This is what they're. Oh, this is from the concert. This is them fleeing. These are people fleeing from the concert. There's Issa at the concert running. Issa, you're somewhere in there, dude. I'm telling you, dude. Hold on, wait. Let me show you this, and I'll end it with this. These are 4 Israelis that are missing. There's more, but hold on. What do I do with it? Did I lose it? There you go. 250 people at the music festival in Israel. They were just murdered. This is what you are celebrating. This is what you are saying. This is a good thing. This is what you're saying. Oh, I'm cascading. This is what you are saying. Praising your God is just because you killed people with no military significance whatsoever. You haven't gained any territory. You haven't, and you won't get Israel to the negotiation table over this. You won't achieve any objectives, except you're going to get a bunch of your own people killed, and you're going to celebrate that. You're going to post the pictures, which they're already starting to, of the Palestinian babies. Okay, you're already going to, that's all you're going to do. You're just going to, you're
Yeah, but
celebrating death.
I got to
Death.
interject
You're
something here.
celebrating.
I got to interject something here. The reason why they're okay with themselves dying is because they think that they're going to get on the fast path to Allah's heavenly, whatever it is. I usually call it a whorehouse, and then they can name 70 others to that heavenly abode. Then, as far as killing children, they don't care. Muhammad said they are of them. So he basically gave permission to kill the children, if they don't take them and enslave them, but right now they're into killing. It's all goes back to Islam and its teaching and what Allah teaches. Well, if you call it Allah, I think it was Muhammad. I think Allah is or was Muhammad. But it all goes back to Islam's teachings and following the Prophet.
Exactly, Sharon. No, that's what it is. It's the religion of death. Okay, it really is a death cult. The more you die, okay, the more greater it is.
The
And
more people get on the fast path to Allah's thing.
right. I mean, I'm responding to the Islamic apologists like Muhammad Hijab and Hukatushu Good or whatever they're celebrating this. I'm like, dude, they're like, we stand with Palestine. Like, what do you mean? What are you standing for? You're standing for death. This thing is just gonna. The suffering is not gonna end until you stop killing people. Okay, it's that simple. And Steve, you were mentioning Gaza. I'm looking at the pictures. Trump would love to go there and set up some hotels. That'd be beautiful lake, oceanfront property. You know what I mean? That's a developed resource. And also, I think they got oil too, don't they? They also got fishing. I mean, dude, sportsman fishing you can do. That could be the paradise, okay? A vacation spot of Europe. And you know what I'm saying? Okay, just go to Mediterranean, go to Gaza, go shop in the bazaars, go kick back on the beach, go sport fishing, whatever. You know what I mean? But no, instead of doing that, they do this. You know what I mean? Can you explain that, Steve? Why is that? I don't understand it. Not that not that you speak for Palestinians, but I mean, if it's not what is it, dude? Why are they so obsessed with this concept? I don't get it.
Well,
They're just killing people.
There's I blame their leaders. First of all, I definitely blame their leaders. Even when Fatah was in charge, okay, Yasser Arafat's party, which was much more moderate than Hamas, even when they were in charge, what happened is there's billions of dollars flowing into there from around the world. The U.S., Bill Clinton loved to give them money, and Obama was just pouring money into all this stuff, and of course Biden. And so, there was so much money going to these guys. And these guys all had I was there. They had beautiful cars. They had beautiful houses. Their kids were being taught in the best schools in France, while the people were starving. The people were living on United Nations handouts, a bag of flour, some oil, and and so that there was this is why the Palestinians voted for Hamas in 2005. I was there when they elected Hamas. There was the election. George Bush was in power at the time, and let me just say one thing happened in 2005, and that is that Israel pulled out of the Gaza Strip. They had
Right.
8,000.
I was alluding to earlier, right?
They had 8,000 settlers there. There was like 3 or 4 big Israeli settlements. Netzarim was one of them. Was the biggest one, and they kind of controlled the southern coastal area of the Gaza Strip. And but in 2005, Ariel Sharon said it's too expensive to keep defending these settlements, so we're going to pull them out. They pulled out all 8,000 Israeli settlers and gave the thing to the Palestinians. I was there when it happened, and there was so much joy the day that the Israelis left and everything. But then Hamas and Fatah started fighting, and the fighting was constant. And then in 2006, there was an election. George Bush was involved in this. And when the election happened, and I was there the day of the election, I was there the day before the election. And I remember I was invited to go to a political rally for Fatah. Now, Fatah is the more moderate party. And they asked me to put scarves on the necks of all the election volunteers, and I was praying in tongues, praying real hard, Father, save these kids. But there, I noticed something. The old Fatah Guard people were there, and they were talking about how much Palestinians are so in love with Fatah and with the Yasser Arafat and everything we've done for the Palestinian people and everything. And the young kids were saying, dude, but you're not doing nothing for us now, and we're in trouble. And the next day, Hamas, which is very, very smart at democracy, they went to people's homes, gave them food, and gave them a ride to the polls. And they won the election the next day. And Hamas has been in power ever since. They became the dictators of Gaza. They took over in 2005. There hasn't been another election since then. So, the people are totally oppressed. They're complete victims. And, there's a lot more that you can say. They are going to be the complete victims when Israel is done with this too.
And this is what is what's sad, because they're going to be the ones that get in the way. And one thing that I always have said is that Sharon went in there and he turned, this is that land for peace thing, this facade that Israel thinks that they can, if they give them what they want, they won't try to kill them, they won't hate them anymore, they'll try to live with them. And this alone, I think, clearly demonstrates that that's just simply not true. The hatred that they have, this visceral hatred they have for Jews, is, as I mentioned earlier, is ingrained in them from when they're just kids. Last 2 weeks ago, we did a show on this, and we're showing a Bible school, the equivalent of a Hamas Bible school. Instead of teaching them biblical verses, that they're teaching them how to take apart machine guns and put them back together, how to low crawl under barbed wire, how to set off demolitions and things. This is their Bible school. And when you teach your kids this, to hate and to attack, this is what you get. Now, I'm going to play a video here, and I'm just going to tell you right now, this is going to be hard to watch. What's happened here is that these Hamasholes have broken into these people's home, and this couple has 3 children. They have already killed the youngest of the 3. And the couple are sitting on a floor in what it looks like to be their kitchen, maybe. And I'm just going to I'm going to warn you, this is going to be hard to watch. But this is what hatred looks like. This is what evil does. Sorry.
And they're filming this.
The Hamas
They're proud of it.
Yeah.
No more. Relax.
Look at the dad's hand.
It's in them. My sister died. Relax. Lift to God. What? Kung meron siya, nagkano malang. Nasa wine. Makamay. Netanyahu. Netanyahu. Raso. Mort. Netanyahu, mort. After mort. Ate. No mort. Ate, no mort. Thank you. Regular stuff.
Was that a gunshot?
Yep. Look at the dad's hand.
Blood on it.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
That's enough. I didn't watch it. I can't watch it.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. This is what evil does. They killed the youngest kid. The dad was probably holding her when they killed her, or tried to revive her. I don't know, but that's her blood all over his hands. And the brother and sister are like, they killed her. She's not coming, and they're you can. And this is what we're supposed to believe. Soldiers of Allah, mujahideen, do. And when you support Hamasholes, this is what you get. Are you happy with that? If you support Hamas, are you happy with that? Are you pleased to see that happen? All those bodies laying all over the streets, hostages taken. God knows what they're doing. Oh, I know. Hold on. I got one. I got one for you right here. Right here. Here you go. This one was on Twitter today, and you never guess what they're calling the women who they capture. Hold on. Let me put this right up here for you. All you folks who support these Hamasholes, what they're doing. Whoa. What happened? There we go. Where'd we go? Right there. Did you make what they said, Steve?
I'm sorry?
Listen to what he said. Can you hear what he said?
No,
Anything.
I didn't hear
Couldn't
nothing.
hear anything.
He's saying that these are his sex slaves.
Yeah, I just there's an
These
article
women
on
they
Fox.
captured are his sex slaves now.
There's
So
an
you can
article on
imagine
Fox
what they're going to be
News.
doing to these women.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry, Red.
there's an article on Fox News, and when I'm watching what they're doing and they're parading them, I'm like, dude, this reminds me of ISIS. You know what I mean? And sure enough, they're actually using ISIS tactics now. I mean, we're probably going to see beheadings. We're going to, I mean, and again, as I state, for what? You're not going to achieve anything, except you're going to be now really hated and reviled even more than you were. Okay?
I got videos of them, their children from years ago doing beheadings, and it wasn't any kind of AI. It was children doing beheadings, and this come from Hamas. That is jihad. They've been doing this for centuries. And, you got over almost 100 violent jihadi groups, including, the individuals. And then one thing about jihad, acting like victims is a form of jihad too. And that gains a lot of use for idiots. So I don't believe all this victimhood from the Muslims in the Gaza. I don't believe it at all. I'm sorry. And if they wanted to be a true victim, then they get out. But then how do you trust them when they lie? Because part of Hijra, leaving, immigrating, they never immigrate to another Muslim land. They come to our land so they can do jihad. I'm sorry. I just went off on a rant. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's just the total frustration that people and one of the mantras that we saw. Let me just give you a brief overview of what I watched on the news this morning. They had the first thing they're coming out with. Let me write this down. Okay, UN Ambassador Israel, so I don't forget it. All right, don't let me forget that. But the first thing that they're leading off with is what a catastrophic intelligence failure this is for Mossad and Israel. And this is nothing but an attack. This is a kind of like a I don't know, an underhanded attack against Netanyahu to undermine Netanyahu and his intelligence agency. This isn't an intelligence failure. This is the failure for the world to understand who these people are. What type of people these are. The foundational hatred that they have for Israel. If there's a failure, it's a failure on the part of the media to make sure that the world understands what that is. When you then this morning you had the UN ambassador for Israel, or not the UN, the Israeli ambassador to the UN, if there is such a thing. He was being interviewed, and he said a couple things that were very stark, surprising. Number one, if you were to use to take the number of people that live in Israel versus the number of people that live in the United States, there's over 600 people killed, Israelis that have been killed. 600
now.
Is it over 700 now? Okay.
Yeah.
He said that would be the equivalent of over 20,000 Americans being killed. This would be the equivalent of 7 or 8 9/11s in one day. That would be the equivalent. And then you had, bite me. Hold on. Where is it? I had an article here. I can't find it now. Doggone you, Kaffer. I had an article here where the Biden administration originally wrote from their to their embassies, encouraging Israel to exercise some restraint.
No way.
True statement. I have the article. I'll find it when I get a minute here. I'll find it. You need to use some restraint. Do you think for a second after 9/11, people would have said, hey, you need to use some restraint here? No, absolutely not. And imagine that 8 times as worse, 9 times as worse. These numbers go up. In addition to that, it wasn't just Israelis that have been taken hostage. There are Americans in there. There are, he said, dozens of Americans. That means it's over 24, or maybe 25, that have also been taken. If we have not yet sent Delta over there, SEAL Team 6, or what do they call that FBI team, hostage arrest, whatever the heck it is. If we have not yet deployed those assets into that region, then Lloyd Austin ought to have his ass removed from that seat over there in the Pentagon and posted down there in, I don't know.
But Eric, I just want to say that, the FBI has a lot on its hands, with these domestic terrorist American Christian parents at school board meetings that they have to follow.
Those radical Catholics. Catholics.
They're investigating. They got to investigate Hunter. Yeah, they're hard at that too. Yeah, I get it.
Here, I'm going to share some real quick. But
yeah, when we start thinking about the magnitude of this, and we're going to tell Israel, say, hey, try to use like, and this was what that Mensch Ilian Omar had to say. Well, this is a conflict and back and forth, and we need to exercise some restraint on both sides. Shut your pie hole, you.
Okay, could you show
You
I'm not
witch.
gonna say- I'm not-
You witch. I'll call her a witch.
I've got the picture of it. This is the Hamas rally in New York. I mean, the Democratic Party in New York rally, pro-Palestine rally in New York today.
That's AOC's group.
This is all
No,
for
literally.
Hamas, to support Hamas in New York. The Democratic Socialist Party.
That's in New York City today.
New York City today, Times Square.
My God.
I went up there chanting, Kai by, all you Jews, Muhammad's army is coming for you. That's usually the chant. I'll be hearing that. But here, check this out. Here's some more from the Twitterverse.
Since you have control of the board, Brad, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here.
Oh my gosh. You're going to take away the power from me and then screw it.
All right.
Okay.
So here's Muhammad Hijab. On the authority, now he's excusing away all these atrocities, right? On the authority of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. The messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, verily Allah has pardoned for me, my ummah, their mistakes, their forgetfulness, and that which they have been forced to do under duress. So right here, I mean, no, he's saying that no matter what you show him, no matter what atrocities, no matter what they're doing, it's okay. Allah has forgiven them. Okay? I mean, this is just horrendous stuff. I mean, they're defending this stuff. Okay? But anyway, let's there was something else I wanted to show you. Oh, look at this. The Islamic Republic will have learned a hard lesson just by spokesman El Qassam Brigades, Abu whatever. We thank the Islamic Republic of Iran, who provided us with the weapons, money, and other equipment. He gave us missiles to destroy the Zionist fortresses and helped us with standard anti-tank missile. By the way, did you guys see that they actually took a couple tanks, which is really weird. I don't know how they did that, but there was one other thing. Oh, here's that video. Now, so the video is, in this video of one of the kidnappings of an Israeli citizen, Hamas terrorists can be heard shouting Allah Akbar in a Sikh celebration. But what is more interesting is that at 42 seconds, someone says, call them in Persian. Now, why would someone be screaming call in Persian in the middle of a terrorist operation of Hamas, in the middle of Gaza? The Islamic regime may have a role in this kidnapping. I just think that's interesting. But here, let's play this.
This is hard to watch. This poor woman. She soiled her pants.
Now, I'm sorry. That dude don't look like a Palestinian right there. That dude looks like someone from Africa. I don't know, Steve.
Well, you know
I'm
what?
just saying. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw what CNN. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was CNN, or it was one of those Democratic left-leaning media representatives here in America, and they said that girl was a soldier. They said that girl was a soldier. How can you tell that she was a soldier? I was wondering.
Well, it doesn't.
It's more. They're saying it's more justified to take her if she's a soldier. How do you tell she's a soldier? She's wearing sweatpants.
Yeah. Not only that, how does that make it okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's their reasoning. I think it was CNN that said that. Yeah.
Steve,
Right.
I just want to say, Hussein, I'm so glad that you're here to communicate, because you have the real world experience. You are from that experience, and I'm really glad that you're here today to like talk about this kind of really tragic atrocity that occurred.
Yeah.
Oh, here, look at this. This is one of the girls that they captured. Is this the one you're talking about? That she's a soldier. This is one of the girls they captured at the one on the motorbike. You see her on the motorbike. She's screaming, "Please don't kill me! Please don't kill me!" I don't have that video up. But this is her, and this is from Syrian girl. This was reposted by Daniel Hakachu. The female illegal settler who was taken prisoner on a motorbike is seen
Hey,
perfectly fine
can
drinking
one
a
of my
bottle of
hold on,
water.
Brad, just a second.
Well,
Can somebody,
well,
one of the mods, take care of this troll in chat? Thank you.
what's-
Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
well, this is what the Syrian girl does. This is reposted by Daniel Hakakaju. The female illegal settler who was taken prisoner on a motorbike is seen perfectly fine drinking water in Gaza. You people claiming she was going to be raped. I hope you realize how sick in the head you are. We're the one who's sick. They kidnapped this girl from a concert on a motorbike. She's screaming, "Please do not kill me." And they give her a bottle of water, okay? And we're the sick ones. It's Israel that rapes and kidnaps Palestinian women, not the other way around. No, seriously. But
Well,
okay, so
and the one thing too here is I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but one thing I want to add to this too is that just because someone is giving you a bottle of water does not mean that this is not a terroristic activity. You are kidnapping someone. Yeah, of course they're going to have to give them some food and water, but you have kidnapped them and taken them away from their home. And the person does not look happy. They look extremely distraught. It's like giving someone water does not humanize the situation. It's still inhuman, and it's sickening that I know Daniel Hakakichu. He's a very problematic person. He's also, if you saw the debate with him and who was it? It was
Rashid.
He did one with Brother Rashid, and he did another one too. He did one with at Modern Day Debates. I forgot who it was. It was Matt Dillahunty, and he basically was talking about sleeping with 4-year-olds. I'm like, this is disgusting. Yeah. This is gross. And killing apostate. I'm like, dude, if someone does not believe in Islam, guess what? It's time to grow up. If you think your religion is so great, then what you need to do is persuade people. You do it peacefully. You can go and table, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot kill people. You can go and talk peacefully, but you can't go and kill people. And it's sickening, and he supported it. He told Brother Rashid and whatever his name, Jake the metaphysician, was saying, it's okay to kill people who are not interested. I'm sorry. Maybe your pitch isn't good enough, bro. You need to work better on your pitch, man.
They look at us like we're the ones with the problem. Like we're the sick ones. By the way, here's some videos of a Hamas rocket attack. This is outside this woman's home, I believe. Overnight, Hamas terrorists continue to terrorize millions of rockets. Remember when Kenny said they fire 1 or 2 rockets? No, look at what happens. Oh, by the way, Hezbollah's getting into it as well. That's some stuff there. Okay, I showed that. Then I showed the picture of the girl. No, this is just some more pictures of video of the destruction of the rockets. Oh, that's the girl that was murdered. That's her. No, she's the one. No, she's the one that was kidnapped. Wait, hold on a second.
I think she was the one that was killed.
Yeah. This is the one that's kidnapped. Brad. You're right. That's the one that was kidnapped.
This is the one that was shown. Yeah, that was shown in the video drinking a bottle of water. Celebrating the murders. Well, this is more of this. Celebration of the murders. Oh, these are all the. Oh, look at this. These are all the people that are. Well, some of right now of those that are missing will show up. Yeah. Notice something awful, kind of funny. Can you?
Yeah, they're all women. Yeah, they're all women.
They're all beautiful young women.
Yeah, they're sex slaves.
Well, I just played that. I just showed you. That's what they consider them as.
Yep.
Oh, this is the one that was murdered. This is the one that was. This is a beautiful. Beautiful young lives just wiped out for nothing. For what? So you can get a bunch of Palestinians killed. Yeah, that's the one that was seen drinking a bottle of water. This is something I'm missing. Oh, this is them celebrating. What is that drink they're pouring? It's some kind of something. I don't know. But anyway, there was something up here in the beginning. I'm sorry. What?
What about the Holocaust survivor on the motorcycle?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, one of the hostages they took was a Holocaust survivor. That was the
80-year-old. Oh no, that was on the
ambassador, right?
Yeah. That's I didn't see that. Oh yeah, here's all the rockets, dude. Is that just well, not all of them. This is only one barrage. This is like happening right now, I think. 1 hour ago. Does that look like, I don't know, 1 or 2 rockets, Kenny?
Don't even get me
Oh
started
yeah.
on. Don't get me
Little
started on
Nazi
that.
swastika. This is a family that was. I think this is the family that you're talking about. The entire family was slaughtered. This
No,
this
they
young
had a
family.
boy. No.
Oh, they had a boy? Okay.
That's not the one that I showed the video of because they
All
had
right.
a boy.
Oh, so this is another one. Look at the entire beautiful family. Okay. Actually, this one's interesting. Iranians enter a football match, protest against the regime. Oh, that's another thing. People don't understand. The Persians, the Iranians, they actually hate the regime. Okay, very much so, especially the young ones. Okay, they hate it. Okay, protesting against the regime, placing Palestinian flags in the stadium, and demanded that the regime remove them, chanting, "Put the Palestinian flag in your ass."
Well, there was been a lot of rebellion. You're right, Rad, because some women don't want to cover their head. And they're
Right,
saying
yeah.
that women have to cover their head, which I think is a disgusting practice. Give women agency, and I think that is the important thing. They're like, oh, the woman must cover their head because men are going to flip out. And I'm like, well, that's your weakness as men. You know what I'm saying? You need to control yourself. But that's the thing, because there was some Olympian or something who didn't have like a scarf on. It's like a protest. And I'm like, you should have the freedom. You should have the rights. And I don't know. And that's why it makes sense. Young people don't believe in that. They don't believe the government can control them.
No, but Steve, maybe you could testify to some of this. From what I understand, okay, so as he said, and I've said this before, so I grew up, well, I didn't grow up with, but when I was in my 20s, early 20s, I would hang out with this, Iraqi, Palestinian, various, Muslims, from different parts of the Middle East. And they loved me. They adopted me. It was kind of cool. It was fun. But anyway, that's why I tell you, I had a really pleasurable experience with Islam. But the one thing they told me, even the Palestinian, I remember I was at this family thing. We were doing that was the first time I had the upside down chicken thing. What's that called? The muto? What is it? You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay.
Oh,
anyway.
Makluba.
Makluba, yeah, the upside down chicken, yeah. That's how I know what that is. Okay. Anyway, there's a Palestinian Muslim, Palestinian Christian too, and with Iraqis, and they explained to me. They said the Arab world hates Palestinians. And the guy's like, yeah. He's like, I'm like, why? He's like, no, you don't understand. They lost their land, but they lost it to the Jews. And that is worse. Literally, he used the N word, but he said they are worse than blacks in America. Okay. But he used the N word. Okay. And the Palestinian agreed. He's like, absolutely. Everybody hates us.
Yeah.
And the thing is, good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to say, they may hate us, but boy, do they love to use us. And this
wow, that's heavy duty, brother. That is heavy duty.
Especially Iran. And whenever there's political trouble in any of these countries, they say, look what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. And look at what's going on in Gaza. And so that what it does is it gets the people all angry at the Jews. And then they forget the problems in their own country. And
right.
So yeah, and you know that I mean seriously, the Palestinians by Muslims are viewed as like among the cream of the crop of Islam because they are on the cutting edge of confronting the Jews. So yeah, they got a very exalted, but they do hate us and they don't want us to visit they don't want us to visit their countries. It's like, please don't come here, but we love you so much. We'll send you money. We'll send you money. Just stay where you are.
well, that was another thing I was going to say. So evidently, from what I'm told and what I read and studied on this, is that these Palestinian refugee camps in like Jordan, Lebanon, Jordan actually fought a war with Fatah and kicked them out. But in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and Egypt, I think. Does Egypt have any camps? I don't know. But they're not camps. They're actual cities now. Yeah. Well, evidently, especially in Lebanon and in Jordan, I believe, or Syria, there are like literally like jobs that Palestinians cannot work. And it's like most jobs, carpenter, plumber, electrician, doctor. I think they make nurses, but there's like this whole list where they can only do menial manual labor. They can't do the high end stuff. I mean, have you known about that, experienced that, or
Yes, I
you know?
mean, I haven't experienced it, because I'm
Right, right.
American, but I know about it. And the Arab countries are not nice to the Palestinians. Just
Right.
bottom line, they don't like us. They
Why
want
not?
us to leave. Well,
Why, Steve?
you
Why?
you name it, we've done it. It's like they say, oh, you come here, you use up our resources, you steal, you do these things, and you do these, take our girls and all this stuff. They say everything about us, and they say it in all the countries. Lebanon says it, Syria says it, Jordan says it, Egypt says it. They all can't stand us, but they hate the Jews more, and so.
But no, they stand with you Palestinians as long as you're being killed by the Jews. You know
And as
what
long
I mean?
as internal problems in their country that
Right,
they need
right.
to distracted, in America it's the same thing. Like the Democratic Party, every 4 years, because they don't do nothing for nobody. What do? They say, look at the races, look at the white supremacists, look at all this. It's to get people to get their eyes off the problems and onto some. What do they call it? The straw
It's a
man.
red herring. It's a red herring.
Yeah, red herring. Yeah. So, and the Palestinians, and we poor Palestinians, we think, oh, everybody loves us so much. No, they just hate the Jews.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
Dude,
another statistic that came up this morning was that 70% of the money that Hamas gets comes from Iran. And when we think about what Obama did on his way out the door, giving Iran $1.7 billion, not dollars, because it's illegal to send American currency to Iran. So what he did was he laundered it through Deutsche Bank and had it sent to Iran on pallets. And Iran has used that money to do one knows what. And then when we look what his administration did just recently, 2 or 3 days ago, they freed up $75 million worth of aid to Gaza because these people in Gaza, like Steve is saying, our hearts bleed for these people that live in Gaza. But this hatred that somebody has to stand up and say enough is enough. We can't live our lives predicated on this hatred. But another thing that happened here recently is that over $6 billion in Iranian assets have been freed up. So Iran can now use these assets to feed their people. And as long as they agree to feed their people, provide them medicine with this money, what could go wrong with that? Well, that money that they would normally, give me just a second, let me finish this train of thought, Steve. That money that would normally go, that Iran would normally spend to feed their people, to provide them medicine, to provide them education, now they can spend on terrorist organizations, terrorism, and people like the Hamasholes and the Hezbollahs. They can send all that money now that would have normally had to be spent on their own people. They can send it abroad and wage war that way.
Yeah.
What's happening now is just an absolute travesty. What we're doing with Iran. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
I just want to say, but I just want to, I think we need to be fair and show both sides. That I did watch on PBS yesterday, and PBS said that none of that money has been released to Iran yet. So Iran is not using that money to support what's going on right now. So that's what PBS said. So.
Right.
Real credible.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Now,
you know what? There's something. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Let me do this. Okay. I mentioned earlier that our State Department, our government had said that. Okay. Now I'm going to show this to you. Now I want you to pay attention to where this is coming from. The United States Office of Palestinian Affairs. We unequivocally condemn the attack of Hamas terrorists and the loss of life that is incurred.
Sure.
We urge all sides to refrain from violence and retaliatory attacks. Terror and violence solve nothing. Now, where does this come from? The United States Office of Palestinian Affairs. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with this, but that comes from an office within Jerusalem, because this was an office that was established by Biden illegally, because the only entity that we're supposed to have in Israel, as far as our State Department is concerned, is our embassy. But yet, because they were placating, or they were trying to placate to the Palestinians, they set this office up. So what is this office in? Oh, we just killed 600 of your people. We just want peace. Don't retaliate. Please. Really? This again indicates the incompetency, the gross incompetency and negligence of our current commander-in-chief. I don't like to get political on this show because everybody else does that. But this guy that is sitting right now in the Oval Office is responsible in large part what happened in Israel yesterday morning.
Let's go, Brandon. You know, funny thing.
He did not meet with Netanyahu after Netanyahu had become. When did Netanyahu become prime minister again?
Like 2 years ago?
No, not 2 years ago. It's within the last year.
He's been prime minister before, so I don't know. They swap up.
He has refused to meet with Netanyahu. And finally, this morning, he picks up the phone and gets the call.
We have moved an aircraft. We have moved an aircraft carrier into the region. Just to let you know, the U.S. what I've been reading about. So Biden has activated the tranny troopers, and they're going to go in with high heels and nylons. That's
even the Navy. I would never say that about my.
But I'm just saying.
Naval brother,
anyway,
but I don't know. It's Biden's military.
No, this is
where the Army missed its recruiting goal by 25%. If the Army, when I was in, missed its recruiting goal by 2%, it was considered an emergency. We missed it by 25% this year, folks.
That's why we need them tranny troopers.
I think the thing that I'm sorry. The thing that really just shocks me in all of this situation is that there are people who think what happened is okay. That just blows my mind.
They're celebrating
anybody, huh?
They're celebrating it.
I saw it.
It's okay. Hey, that's a great thing.
I've seen it on social media, and I'm like, how can you celebrate the death? Where is your humanity? It's like, I'm like, it's sickening. And then you have people like Daniel Hakakichi, who's debating on Modern Day Debates. And he's like, look at all the Muslims who are suffering and struggling. I'm like, how will anyone take you seriously, Daniel, if with people having joy about other people's lives lost? It just makes you seem like a hypocrite. It's like, there's no way that anybody's going to take you seriously. And, you were talking about reprisal. I'm like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen because, that's what happens in these types of situations, and that really disturbs me.
Per se, I wouldn't describe it as reprisal. What Israel is going to do to these Hamasholes is not a reprisal. It is for their own security, to prevent something like this from happening.
I get it.
It may come across as a reprisal, but they are going to stop this right now. This is, how many times have they gone into Gaza? Steve, how many times has Israel gone into Gaza to stop this from happening again?
There's too many times. It's every year and a half.
How many?
No, it never works. It works for a few weeks. Can I just say one thing about what's happened that is, for me, the most important thing that's happened, and the most dangerous thing that happened, and that is when I lived in Gaza, there was one Israeli hostage. His name was Gilad Shalit. He was one soldier, and he was alive. And I tell you what, as far as Israel is concerned, nothing mattered except getting that one soldier back. And then there was an incursion. Some Israeli soldiers died in Gaza, and their dead bodies were in Gaza, including a finger and parts. And Israel released wanted Gaza prisoners. They released them to get the dead bodies, just the dead bodies, not the living.
How many
now they're saying 57. They're saying 57. I don't know how many they have. But this is the heart of the issue right now.
How many prisoners did they release in order to get that Israeli soldier back?
It was almost 1,000.
It was over 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's how much Israel prizes its people, and even dead people. And so now they've got these 57 living people and possibly some dead ones. And that right there complicates the situation beyond anything you can imagine.
Sure.
And you guys, I just want to tell you, what I feel. This is just my prayer, is that God's going to send an army of angels in there and just walk these guys out. He opened the Red Sea for Moses. He can do a miracle. We need a miracle.
Amen.
Or else I don't see the way they're going to get these people out. So.
Now, just to comment on that real quickly here. So there's some differences about this. Netanyahu came right out and said, this is not an operation. This is war. Israel officially declared war on Hamas. It is total war now. So the whole nation state of Israel is now geared towards one thing, and that is destroying Hamas. Now, that means it's going to be really, really bloody. That means like World War II kind of total war stuff, okay? So, no, it could go that route. I don't know. But also, Israel's got a problem because they don't really have a government yet, because the government was dissolved, okay, a couple weeks ago. So they don't actually, because remember, they're in a parliamentary system, so they actually don't have a government, okay, per se, okay? But either way, they did declare a war. So it is an actual declaration of war. All industry, everything now is geared, okay, towards, okay, defeating Hamas, okay? Now, what does this mean? What does this mean as a surrender? I mean, are they just going to kill all the leadership? Are they going to, kill and arrest and imprison everybody else? I don't know. But as far as the hostage thing, I'm sorry. This is my psychopath in me, okay? And this is something I never understood, okay? Okay, look. If I am ever captured by Hamas, declare me dead. Do whatever you want, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm an idiot. I got captured. My own foolishness, okay? But I'm sorry. I'm just like, they got to like, okay, we're declaring them dead, but if we get them alive, that's fine. But we're not going to worry about them. Our goal right now is to completely and destroy Hamas. Okay? And I actually think that's a tactic that should be taken because, like you just said, I know they're not going to do that. But Steve, like you just said, that is Hamas's weapon now. That's their greatest weapon.
They have.
But what it shows is that people's humanity.
Them though,
we have humanity. We have our humanity. We care about life, and I think that's so important. Life is. It's you can't. The thing is, that's how you can tell the difference. If people are willing to kill their children and destroy lives, these are not. It's like the people have lost their humanity. So, yeah.
I get that, but that's kind of my point, Issa. Wait, that's kind of my point, Issa. I saw back in the second Intifada, when we were all geared up after 9/11 and the Palestinians totally screwed up, and we're like, we support Al Qaeda, we support the Taliban, blah. And again, they support Iraq again. I mean, they just make mistake after mistake in this leadership. I'm just saying. But I remember watching a documentary again, where it was talking with one of the Palestinians as a kid. Well, he was a man now, talking about the second or first Intifada, whatever it was. And he said, when I was a kid, he's 10 or 12, I climbed up on that tank and I had a rock. And I was getting and the Israeli soldier pulled out his gun, but then he didn't shoot me because he looked at me because he saw a boy. And that he actually used these words in the translation. He saw humanity and he couldn't shoot me. And then what did the Israeli boy do? He stoned him with the rock. I'm just saying. So this is my point. Yes, we have humanity, but this is total war now. This is a time of war. That is no time to be showing your humanity towards your enemy in a time of war. That is my position and my point. And I think it's a mistake to give your enemy in a time of total war the weapon that they can use against you. That's just me.
Oh,
That's
I
just
hear
my
you. I
uh,
hear you. But you know what's something that reminds me of, like, if we're looking, let's take something like from Christianity, and we look at, Jesus, and he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? And in the Garden of Gethsemane, this person, Simon Peter, chops the ear off of this guy. They said his name is Malchus, right? And what he does is he, instead of saying, um, promoting war and violence, these people want to, kidnap Jesus and, crucify him. They want to they want to do horrible things to him. He heals the man's ear. He heals the man's ear and says, live by the sword, die by the sword. And it's like a powerful lesson for Peter. And I think that's the thing. What if we look at that message, it teaches humanity, being a real human. And it's like, even if someone is trying to oppress you, forgive those who forgive those who persecute against you. Like, it's a very powerful thing to have our
These
humanity.
are individual admonitions and how we're to treat each other. If you're the president or prime minister of Israel, you have to defend your people. That is your charge. That is your responsibility.
I
And
was
if you,
just going to say that.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I
There's
get,
nothing
I
wrong
get.
with defending ourselves, and I'm going to remind everybody the tactics that they're using now against Israel. That's why they got 57 countries, and that's what they're doing in Africa and parts of India right now. That land for peace deal when they made that Pakistani deal. They're doing it. They're being violent there too. There comes a point where you need to defend yourself, and that's it took 400 years for the Crusades to even start, and technically they never won. And what do we hear? Oh, they did an atrocity. That's war.
If I would,
That were committed.
I hear that, and I would say yes, and I would be like, look, we have this other situation of you have to try to do your best of maintaining your humanity no matter what. And yes, it's difficult. I understand. I completely empathize. These are very difficult times.
You're talking about having humanity and having this love of Christ that we have within us versus this. Let me show you. And I would play this every single day on Israeli television if people needed to be reminded of what humanity looks like and inhumanity doesn't look like. This is what I would play. Now, I'm going to pause it, and I'm not doing this just to be gross. Notice how bloodied up this girl is. Why do you think that there's blood in this region of her body? Any ideas? Anybody?
It was sexual assault. Sexual assault.
Yeah.
You're talking about below.
Her arms all cut up. Shoving her in there like an animal. This is a teenage girl. This is a teenage girl.
Oh my God.
And when you talk about losing one's humanity, we did this 3 weeks ago, and we talked about this. We talked about how these people are taught from when they are knee-high to hate the Jewish people. And when they get a hold of Jewish people, this is just a young girl, and this is what they do to her. I would show this every flipping day. If you wonder why we were at war, why these things happen, how tough it is to do this, think of this girl. Think about what she's going through right now. Think about that harem of women that guy was talking about. These are our sex slaves. There's a picture Rad put up there of all those women who've been kidnapped. What's happening to them tonight in Gaza?
Okay.
Hussein, I wanted to ask a quick question to Hussein too, because there's something I've been very curious about. I'm so sorry to interrupt. It's about the other minority elements within the Palestinian community, like the Christian Palestinians and the Druze Palestinians. How do like Muslim Palestinians treat the Christians and the Druze Palestinians?
I don't have much in dealing with the Druze, population, but of course I was a Christian, so the Christians were pretty much like it's different in different parts. For instance, in the West Bank, which is much more open, much closer to Israel, much more modern. The situation's a little bit different. There's much more friends and interaction, and the Christians very much consider themselves Palestinian citizens. They're usually very anti-Israel. They're usually very pro-Palestinian. They support the cause of Palestine. In Gaza, it was a little bit tougher. It was a little bit tougher, but still there was, like I said, there were 3 churches in Gaza, the Catholic, Orthodox, and Baptist church. And there's about 3,000 Christians there when I lived there, between 1.2, and there was 1.2 million people on the strip. And then of those 3,000 Christians, like I said, a lot of them fled after my friend Rami was killed. And this was in November 2007 after Hamas took over. A lot of them left, and because they were scared. And a lot of times that the Muslims are generally very friendly. They're very nice. They don't have any problem. It's just those leaders, the Hamas guys, and when push comes to shove, when for instance, when the Pope while I was there, the Pope, it wasn't the current Pope, it was the Pope before this one, the German one. He said something about Islam and the Crusades and something, infuriated the Muslims, and they came and they threw like a grenade into the Bible Society. Okay. Another time they, it was a cartoon, the Danish cartoons. When that happened, they came and they broke the door of the Bible Society. So whenever something like that happens, you'll get a little symbolic thing. This is what my experience has been, over there. And but when push comes to shove is when it gets bad, and
Can I ask Rad?
Yeah.
What did Evan say that you put her in timeout for?
He told Issa to shut up, so I'm like, no, we can't have that. I'm sorry.
Well, we all tell Issa to shut up. I mean, what's the big deal?
Well, but that's us. That's not people who watch. You can untime out him if you want. I don't know.
I don't have that. I can't do that right now. But
okay. Well, anyway, no, I do want to address. I do want to address Issa because I think I stirred up the pot here. Listen, this is my thing. Okay, and I understand what you're saying. I understand what Eric and everybody else is saying because I'm sorry, I'm siding with Eric on this and Steve and Sharon. Okay, so you're talking about personal interaction with Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm talking about okay, first of all, we are not in the Garden of Gethsemane. Secondly, we are not actually in the physical presence of our Lord, and he's not being arrested. What I am saying is this, like I told you the story, the Israeli soldier was going to shoot the kid, okay, but then he noticed he was a kid, and the kid said he didn't shoot me because of his humanity. And how did his humanity get rewarded? He got a rock in the head, okay, and he got knocked out. I think the Israeli soldier still lived, but he still got his teeth knocked out, okay? What I'm saying is this, okay? This is total war, and I am sorry. You have just and yes, rescue the hostages if you can. If you can find their but that should not be the priority. Okay? The priority should be destroying Hamas if that is your goal for total war. Okay? And I think it's going to be a mistake is if the Israeli government puts these hostages as a priority, in other words, a negotiation chip. There is no negotiation of the hostages. There is only destroy Hamas, and if we happen to find the hostages and rescue them, great, God is good. But if not, I'm sorry, they're screwed.
Okay? No, I understand. Like it's not. I'm not saying I'm completely in disagreement. I understand that this is what's going to happen. It's just that I'm sad because I know there's going to be collateral damage. I know that innocent lives are going to be lost. And I know that Israel's going to try to do its best not to do that. I am aware of that. But it's tragic to me. This whole thing is just a horrible mess for human life.
That's the thing that pisses me off. There's no fucking reason for this. None of it. Except if you're following the religion of Islam and some psychopaths that you put in power because guess what? They follow the religion Islam better than you, and they got the sword, and they'll kill you if you don't follow them. I am sorry. That is the only reason why. If they were just not so hateful, not so raised on this, like Steve said, before the Intifada, life was good in Gaza, right? People were working, people were happy, they had tons of money. Israelis, probably Europeans. I mean, no, Gaza could be a Mecca paradise travel destination for Europe. It could be making so much money, okay, just on that alone. But instead, what do you got? There's no freaking reason for it other than total and complete self-hatred. This is what do you call it? A motivation where you actually deliberately set yourself on fire. Because I'm just watching fire now. So, but do you see what I'm saying? There is no reason for it, and this is the thing that pisses me off. And these westernized Muslims that they're waving to flag, oh yes, or these lefty liberals or whatever waving, we support Palestine. No, what you're supporting death. You are literally supporting, okay? The people that you say you're supporting them getting killed. You're supporting them dying for no reason, and it's not going to accomplish anything. And I'm sorry, that's the end of my rant. I'm sorry.
No, and I wanted to add to that. I think that is the people who are going to be the greatest victims, are the innocent civilians. They are the ones who are going to pay the price for this. And I think Hamas knows that, because that's what terrorism does. Terrorism is trying to create confusion and fear and pain. And what it does is that the innocent people are going to get stuck in the crossfire of this. And then you can blame that you can blame the entity that did it, even though that the instigator, the provocateur, who actually really did cause the problem. I don't know if any of you have read Othello. It's a very powerful Shakespeare play, but basically there's this character called Iago. And what does Iago do? Iago is this instigator. He's a provocateur because he's jealous of Othello. Othello is this Moor, and he's like a Christian Moor. And he basically convinces Othello that his wife is cheating on him. Desdemona, I think that's her name. And it works, and it succeeds, and Othello kills his wife based on this provocation. And it's a very powerful thing, what a provocateur can do, the damage that they can do. And I mean, it's just so heart-wrenching, and it's going to be successful. Like, and you're right. Like, when you said the waving of the flags, I'm like, this is disgusting. You can't do this now. It's inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like, I heard people were cheering about the Danish cartoonists, the Charlie Hebdo people being killed. I'm like, it's freedom of speech. If you don't like the cartoon, write an op-ed about it. Say, I don't like this cartoon. If you don't like the satanic verses, write an op-ed. That's what civilized human beings do. So I don't know.
But then you have to be dealing with civilized beings then. These people have clearly shown over the events of the last 2 days that they are not civilized. These people are savages. This is what savages do. People who are motivated by pure hatred, unadulterated hatred. And the hatred is the foundation that they find that fuels this hatred is found in the Quran, and it's found in the Hadith, and it's found in the Sirah. They're not going to give it up. And that I wish there was some, and I posted on Facebook this morning that the only thing is going to save these people is Jesus Christ. The only thing that can save these people from themselves is having their lives interrupted with Christ, with the gospel message. That's the only thing. That is the only thing that is going to cure them of this hatred. It's that love that only Christ provides us that can lead somebody from such terrible depths of darkness and hatred. And if it isn't people's prayer that God's Spirit will be poured out on these people, it needs to be. Because the way things are going right now, there are going and I share in those same fears, and I lament over those same fears that you do, Isa, that there are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent people that are going to be caught up in all of this, and they're going to die and be injured needlessly. Lives are going to be torn apart. But it wasn't the Israelis that provoked these guys. These guys sent rockets. How many was it, Connie? 7,000? Over
7,500.
7,500 rockets thus far. They sent people through the fence on four-wheelers, ATVs, motorcycles, trucks with people, drove them right into these little kibbutzes and started shooting people up. They even have these hang gliders. What are those things called? Not hang gliders.
Who gave
those?
What?
You know,
how did they get? Where did they get those from?
What are they called?
Yeah, they're called parasailers or whatever. They got them from.
They got little motors. And these guys are flying. They got machine guns on them, and they're mowing people down from these paraglides. This
is like something out of like a 1980s Chuck Norris Delta Force.
No, this is 9/11 type stuff. If you think what Al Qaeda did to us on 9/11, they used our own flight schools, used our own immigration system to come here legally, and to use our own planes to destroy our country. This is the mind that people that hate other people use. Look at all the money that's been poured into the Gaza Strip. All that money, all the humanitarian aid, all that cement is the big one for me. Cement was supposed to build hospitals. It was supposed to build schools. It was supposed to build buildings for the public. And what did they use it for?
Tunnels.
They made tunnels.
Tunnels, right?
Well,
yeah.
No.
The Israeli. So this mentality, it has to change. And sometimes that's why to get the change is going to be harsh.
That's why this total war thing. Because you know me, Eric, we've talked about this before. I do not believe in limited warfare doctrine. I believe in total warfare doctrine. If we're going to go to war, the United States of America, we declare war. And that's that simple. I don't believe in this operational crap or this limited warfare where we're going to have an expedition. No, we are going to destroy you as an enemy. Okay, we are going to totally and completely destroy you. Okay, that is my personal belief, and I've never been a war fighter. Eric has, obviously, so he has probably different views on that point because that means a lot of Americans die. But point being is this, okay, I got to give it to Hamas on this one. They really did step up their game. And just from a kind of, like I said, a psychopath thing, no, they really did step up their game. I'm like, well, the only thing, though, I'm watching a video of them crossing with the motorcycles, and some of those bikes, they're big cruisers like I am. And I'm like, I'm impressed. You're riding in sand on that thing? I mean, these dudes, I was like, dude, get a whole guy. I'm like, dude, kudos to you, brother. But anyway, so like I said, I mean, dude, and this is the thing. Usually the way this works out, you can look at the death toll thing. Usually what happens is Israel gets a week. They get to go in there and get to kill a bunch of Gazanians or whatever.
Not anymore. Okay? This is different.
Yeah, and they get like, they kill 1,500 to 2,500. Okay, whatever, and then they declare a ceasefire, and life goes back to normal oppression, normal total poverty for the Gazanians, and of course the UN and everybody comes in and they give the Gazanians all this money, and of course the Gazanians, they don't spend the money on what they're supposed to spend it on. They spend it on tunnels. They take the sewer pipes and they make the rockets out of them. Steve, do you remember back in, I know it was in the 2000s sometime, I want to say somewhere around like 2007, I think it was in Gaza, there was this sewage dam where they had all this sewer stuff, and they were given the money by the UN in the United States of America to actually make repairs on this thing. Think of a giant cesspool for like all of Gaza, okay? Where they it wasn't Gaza, but it was anyway. But for like 100,000 or 200,000 people, it was a reservoir of people's crap. And they didn't use the money to make any repairs. They used all the money for the tunnels and to build rockets. Well, the levee broke, and it was literally a 7-foot high wall of human crap flooded these cities downstream. Right, Steve? Am I making this up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
And I've been there. I remember when I first saw that. I saw this. I thought, wow, this is such a beautiful lake right here. I'm serious, and we were delivering food. We were delivering food to these people, and these are the poorest people you've ever seen in your life. And one thing I'll never forget: near that reservoir, there were kids living there, and we gave them fruit. And one of the fruits in the basket was a banana in the box. It was a banana, and the kid asked, "What is this?" They'd never seen a banana before in their life.
Wow.
The poverty is unbelievable, you guys there. But I was right by there, and when you get close, you can smell it. But from far away, I thought it was a lake. I said, "Wow, that's a beautiful lake." But yeah, but that did break, and I think people lost their lives.
Oh no, they did. It was the levee broke on a sewage retention pond that was a lake, like you said, and it just flooded this whole town downstream. 7-foot wall. I mean, no, you could probably YouTube it or Google it. You can see pictures where you know how they show pictures of mud after a mudslide, but that's human crap. Okay, that is like totally sucked up these houses. Anyway, but no, because that's what Hamas, or actually it was the not Hamas, it was at the time the Palestinian Liberation, PLO. That's what they spent the money on. You know what I mean? I mean, no, you want to free Palestine, Muslims? You want to free Palestine of the oppression? Then free them. Let us pray. Free them. Okay? Of the oppression of these leaders that they have. The oppression of these political organizations that they have.
Well, those leaders
free
are not
them.
long for the world, Rad. Those leaders,
Free them of that oppression.
Many of them live in Qatar, and you can bet your bottom dollar.
Yeah, well,
like
you got to. Yeah, but you got to kill all because there's always someone that. I mean, you kill the general. You got a colonel. Then you got to kill the colonel. Then you got to, you know what I mean? I mean, you got to go through a lot of killing, and that's what's going to happen.
Well, that's what they're. This gives them reason to do it.
But that's a lot of killing, man.
This is orders of magnitude worse than our 9/11. Because our 9/11, they knocked down the buildings, but they killed Americans, slaughtered Americans, and it angered us. You just remember how you felt. Multiply that by 8, 9. And the underhanded suffering of these women that they're parading around, and these kids that they kidnapped. This is new. This is going to be much different, and it's going to. And I lament with Issa. It's just going to be ugly. It really is. But in order to defeat evil, you have to overcome it with overwhelming force. That's what we did to the Nazis in World War II.
Exactly. That's what we're looking at. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, they aren't. The Hamas is Nazis. Like, there's no doubt that that's what they are. Like, if folks are willing to kill innocent people for no reason, and that's the reason why I asked Brother Hussein the question, because I'm like curious. I'm like, let's say if there was this if Hamas was able to make a Palestinian country of some sort, what happens to the people who don't fit that narrative? What about if you're a Shia? What happens if you're a Druze? What happens if you're some variant of Christian? I don't know. It sounds like a very terrifying prospect to me.
Well, that's what they've got.
That's why you have to fight this. There is a time of war, and you just have to man up and know this and be on the side that's trying to put this out. Because if Israel doesn't put it out, it just happens all over again, and it strengthens them. Thank you.
Hey, Steve, I got a question for you. Since Israel pulled the power plug, have you been able to talk to any of your brothers and sisters, Christian brother and sister in Gaza? So
I have a couple of friends that I've been in contact with, and so apparently the internet is still working, and the electricity they say it's very bad. And I have Christian friends too. I mean, I'm talking both Muslims and Christians, but the situation is very bad. And but they were able to communicate, which, that means that there still is internet and there still is electricity.
Interesting. Is there any way like you could pull up these guys, put them on your show or anything sometime? I mean, so we can get a, what's happening in an interview. Well, no, because I'm just wondering, no, this is dangerous shit. Okay. What I'm wondering is because Netanyahu, the Israelis, and this doesn't make any sense, he told the Gazinians, I'm sorry I use the word Gazinians, but that's just me. Anyway, because it's kind of funny. But anyway, the Gazinians, he told them, get out of Gaza now, leave. And I'm like, where the hell are they going to go? You're not going to, that's another thing. Okay, I don't understand it. Okay, here's the thing. This one, I remember I asked you, can Palestinians get a passport? Okay, and travel? And you said that you're an American, so I said American passport. But then you said that, no, they can get like a UN passport, right? Or something like that. But that's kind of rare.
It's, I'm not 100% sure about the process there, but yeah, I think
so
actually.
So here's something where I think the Israelis really screw up when they bottle this stuff up and they refuse to give them passports. I don't know. You tell me. If you told 2.5 million people in Gaza, if you said to them, "Hey, we're going to let you go to the Mexican border, and then you can kind of cross in America under the Biden regime," would they take that deal? I'm just saying. Okay?
Yes,
Not that I'm. But see, that's what I understand with the Israelis. Why are they bottling them up there? Why don't they just let them, if they want to leave, and they can go to other countries like Mexico and then come into America under the Biden immigration policy? Not that I'm advising that, okay? But it doesn't make any sense, dude. Why do that? I think, you don't want them there, then let them frickin' leave.
Well, Israel did have a policy before, and this was in the 50s, and it was, what they did is they said to the Palestinians, Brazil is so beautiful and has beautiful women, and it's very green, and here's $20,000. Go visit and don't come back. And it worked.
I take that deal. I want to go. No, are they offering that deal now? I'll go. I'll become a Palestinian. I'll get the 20 grand. I'll go to Brazil. I'll be fine. I'll be happy.
Yes.
No, so it worked, but then why aren't they still doing that? Why did they bottle this up? Why did they shut this down?
You don't want that.
That's what I don't get.
You don't want them in our country.
Well, we got Steve.
Is Hydra.
Steve. Shut up, Brad.
No, well, they go to Brazil. No, that's what I'm saying. They go to Brazil, Argentina.
But if they got the Muslim mindset, a lot of those, how do you know they're not just acting like victims just to gain support and more money,
Well, they can't come back.
Huh?
No, see, this is why I don't even understand about our own policy. Okay, during the heyday of ISIS, all these ISIS dudes, they wanted to leave and go and die in ISIS, in the Islamic State. And we're sitting there telling them, you can't go. And what do? They do their jihad here. Or they do their, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, no, let them go and let them die in ISIS land. Okay? As opposed to them killing a bunch of people here in America, and then we either kill them or arrest them and nothing happens to them. But no, my point is this. I don't understand this concept of where the government says you got to stay here if they don't want to be here. And them being there and staying there is more problems than it's worth. If some other country wants to take it, I'm not saying come here, although we did get Steve. So it's we got a good pick. I'm just saying, but you know what I mean? But okay, fine. There are other countries that will take them. Okay, fine. Let them go.
What you're not getting, though, is even the true moderates, they don't do anything to stop the violent ones. Did you notice that in Hamas or in the Gaza?
I agree. No, I agree with you on that, Sharon. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about if the Israelis don't want them there, then they should let them leave. Because what does Israel care about what happens in other countries? As long as they are not doing the violence in Israel, they can do it in Brazil. Hell, if Biden lets them in America, as far as Israel concerned, they want to do the violence in America, they can do the jihad there. What I'm saying is this doesn't make any sense on Israel's position to keep these people there, okay? And basically, and yes, I would agree, it is basically an open air prison, although I have seen, Steve, that's another point I want to bring up. I have Dave Rubin, who I follow, and he's my comedian mentor. But who I do follow, I actually remember his locals and other thing. Highly recommend Dave Rubin. He actually posted where they have high-end shopping malls in Gaza that the elite go and shop to. Is that true? I don't know. He posted a couple videos of this.
Yeah,
that is true.
Nice stuff. Yeah.
But no, that's a good thing. Yes. No, that's a good thing. That should be Gaza.
You know
if
what?
It wasn't
you know what, though?
stupidity.
But you know what? Israel really was thinking about doing something like that. In fact, they were thinking of doing something similar to what Dubai does. What did Dubai do? They built out their those little islands that go from the coast, and then they have little islands, and then they Israel had been working on actually having something like that to where there would be some kind of income, some kind of work, and you have to go over these bridges to get to those out in the sea. It's out in the sea, you know, that these they make these pods, you know, and it's similar to what they've done in Dubai. And so Israel understands that they can't. The worst thing in the world is a hungry neighbor. They know that, and they want to have an independent neighbor. And so, and let me, you know, you guys, I got to get going, but I just want to say one Bible verse before I go, and that's Zechariah chapter 9. Zechariah chapter 9, at the end of it, it talks about, it says, the king of Gaza shall fall. Gaza shall writhe in pain. And then it says, but those who remain will be for our God, and they will be of the clans of Judah, one of the clans of Judah. This is Zechariah chapter 9. And you guys,
Zechariah 9? Okay.
Maybe this is the fulfillment of that. You guys, I gotta go. It's been great. Thank you so much for having me, you guys. God bless you.
Masalam.
All right. I just want to say one more thing, and I'll show one more video, and then we're going to call it a day. What needs to happen here is that we need to shame, just like the left likes to shame people into silence for, I don't know, criticizing LGBTQ TV, whatever it is, or criticizing whatever BLM or whatever. They want to shame you into silence. You cannot criticize them. They are marginalized people. What we need to do is we need to do the same thing with people who support Hamas. Is we need to shame them into silence. We need to show them every day what their co-religionists do, what their and celebrate. We need to show them what across the Muslim world people are celebrating. The horrific, I mean, nobody should celebrate the deaths of other people. Even in the military, when you score military, you don't celebrate the death of especially innocent civilians, people who have no military training whatsoever. And that's what they're doing. Now, I have a video here that I showed a couple years ago, and it's still pretty good. And it's a song, as a matter of fact. So sit back and enjoy.
No sound, brother. No sound. No sound.
What?
No sound. We're not hearing nothing, dude.
What kind of loser plays a video without any sound?
You. Evidently.
No, don't call me a loser. That's hateful. Okay. How about now?
Islamic rule and stockpiles of rock.
Can you hear it? What?
I could hear it last time.
All right. Let me restart it. Here we go.
Criticize Israel, that's cool, but if you support Hamas, you're a fool. Unless you want radical Islamic rule and stockpiles of rockets at your kids' school. Remember, they send their own people out strapped with suicide bombs blowing up in their lap. You think they seek peace? That's a bunch of crap. They just want to wipe Israel off the map. Let me start off slow so you don't get lost. Palestinians are not the same as Hamas. Though they may live in the same location, Hamas is a terrorist organization. They might call call themselves freedom fighters, but they're just like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, using lethal force against Arabs, Jews, and anyone else who disagrees with their views. Due to their violence, they have been banned from Jordan, Canada, and Japan, the whole EU, plus the UK, Australia, Egypt, and the USA. But in Israel, the situation is harder. They kidnap Israelis and use them to barter. If one murders Jews, he's raised as a martyr. Just take a look at Hamas's own charter. They want Islam controlling the whole Middle East. 2 states don't interest them in the least. So tell me how Jews are supposed to make peace with an enemy who wants to see us deceased. You want to criticize Israel, that's cool, but if you support Hamas, you're a fool. Unless you want radical Islamic rule and stockpiles of rockets at your kid's school. Remember, they send their own people out strapped with suicide bombs blowing up in their lap. You think they seek peace? That's a bunch of crap. They just want to wipe Israel off the map. Gazans are living in poverty, but Hamas just went on a building spree of underground tunnels through which they plan to unleash attacks on Israeli land. They used 80,000 tons of cement, a valuable resource that could have went to development of new apartments to help Palestinians who can't pay the rent. Iran has given them hundreds of millions, but they shoot it all at Israeli civilians. Their rockets get blown by the Iron Dome while their own people are starving at home. And it's even worse on the battlefield where they wield civilians like human shields. Israel uses weapons when its people are threatened, but Hamas uses people to protect its weapons. If I was from Gaza, I would be pissed. But to be honest, I wouldn't resist, because Hamas's rivals all wind up dead, tortured before they get shot in the head. So you want to criticize Israel, that's cool, but if you support Hamas, you're a fool.
All right.
Wow, that was dope. That was on point. That was fire. That was fire.
Yeah, let me go ahead and post that one in
That was,
chat.
dude. That could be Issa up there, dude. No, seriously.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm posting that in private chat, and then I'm going to post it down here. Okay, everybody that came today, again, thank you so much for coming, spending your
Cold
Sunday
close,
evening.
play the close.
I'm gonna cold it. Just chill out, brother. My goodness. We had a good crowd today, and again, like I said, I appreciate everybody that came and spent your Sunday afternoon.
Let me just say one more thing. It's okay to disagree with me, as long as you always agree that I'm right and you're always wrong. That's all I just wanted to say.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Well, okay. One last thing. Pray for the peace of Israel. Pray for those
Definitely.
people. Pray for those families.
Pray for
those
Steve
people.
and his friends and family. Definitely.
Yeah. Those people who have been taken hostage, the people who are mourning, grieving. Pray for those people in Gaza. What's going to come is scary, and uncertainty always needs to be covered in prayer. God bless y'all, and we will see you next Sunday.
Amen.
Thanks.
Advanced student and specialist, that the standard narrative has holes. That's what
That the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.